What are we discussing on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast? We'll talk about that filthy start from Pfaadt, and is the D-backs rotation finally starting to heat up?
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. You're listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas. I'm a multimedia journalist and I'm a graphic designer, so please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, we'll talk about that filthy Brandon Pfaadt start. Is the D-backs rotation starting to heat up? And I got a couple of thought experiments I want to throw out to you guys in segment number 3. But before we get into that, first I want to say thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. And when those platforms is YouTube, please hit subscribe to Locked on Diamondbacks on YouTube. All right, let's get back into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, and let's talk about that start tonight by Brandon Pfaadt, because my goodness, Pfaadt maybe had his best start of his career. 7 innings, 2 hits, gave up that home run late in the game, but outside of that, fantastic career high 12 strikeouts, and this was just from start to finish. Brandon Pfaadt was locked in, and by the eye test, I mean, everything he threw tonight was crisp. He had velocity. I mean, his fastball velo up 1.2 miles per hour than the normal average across the board. All his pitches, the velocity was up at least a mile per hour tonight. And I just thought the break on his pitches, the crisps, the location, the command, I thought this was like as locked in a Brandon Pfaadt start that I've ever seen in his career. I thought he was really, really fantastic tonight. And this is the kind of guy where you look at last year's postseason run, and entering the playoffs last year, we were really nervous about Brandon Pfaadt, really concerned. We knew he was a super talented guy. The stuff that he did in the minor leagues, so incredible. But his little stint that he had with the D-backs last year in the regular season, he struggled, gave up a lot of home runs, and we were nervous about Pfaadt entering the postseason. He didn't do that great against the Brewers in the wild card round, but after that, really turned it around, looked great against the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Texas Rangers, and proved to us that he's a big game pitcher. And now, with a couple weeks left in the season, every game mattering, we know Pfaadt has been hitting a little bit of a wall the last few weeks, but this is a game that the D-backs desperately needed. This is as close as playoff games you could get to in the regular season without it actually being the playoffs. And we all know Pfaadt is a dog, and he stepped up. He stepped up in the way that only Brandon Pfaadt can, by shoving the lights out the baseball, and that's what he did tonight. You look at like his pitch count for every inning, like it was like perfect. It was like 10 to 15 pitches per inning, every single inning. Like this was just one of the best Pfaadt starts I've seen. 72 strikes and 104 pitches thrown. I thought he was really dialed in, and this is the kind of guy where when you look forward to that postseason, I feel good about Brandon Pfaadt in my D-backs playoff rotation. I don't know about Monty. Erod's a question mark. We'll actually talk about the rotation segment number 2, but a start like tonight with the talent that you know that Pfaadt possesses, with what he's already done in the postseason for the D-backs, this is the kind of start that gives you that renewed faith, that renewed confidence that once again, once we get to the playoffs, Brandon Pfaadt is a big game pitcher, and he's someone that the D-backs can rely on, because in a big game tonight, couple of weeks left in the season, you need every win to ensure a postseason spot. This was huge by Brandon Pfaadt tonight, and it wasn't just him. This was a real complete team effort by the D-backs. I mean, the bullpen came in after and dominated. AJ Puk, Justin Martinez, the two go-to relievers right now for the D-backs. If you're going eighth inning, if you're going ninth inning, those feel like the two go-to guys. AJ Puk has been incredible the whole year when he hasn't had to start games earlier this season in the minor leagues, or not the minor leagues, with the Miami Marlins. If you take away all his starts from this season, it has been truly a special bullpen year for AJ Puk. He has dominated opposing hitters at that large 6'7", 250 frame, basically measurements close to LeBron James. This is a guy that is truly dominant right now and has been fantastic this season as a reliever. As a starter this year, 9.22 ERA in 4 starts. Entering today's game, 52.1 innings pitched as a reliever, a 1.38 ERA. AJ Puk continues to dominate. Looks great again today. Justin Martinez comes in, throws 10 pitches, 7 strikes, and just blows away the competition. 101, 102, just elite stuff by him. And then the offense. Great balance by the offense today. They did just enough. Got some runs late in this game. It was a while before the D-backs got going. Typically, they're a first inning scoring team, right? We know how they like to jump early on other teams, but this was a game where it was 0-0 for a while. It was two pitchers dueling in a shutout, and the D-backs were able to get to Myers in that 5th inning, get the top of the lineup to get going, and it was really history from there. Pavin Smith, he got himself a long bomb later in this game where the D-backs really needed some insurance runs. Pavin Smith has been playing really good baseball recently, and I'm actually going to have a Pavin Smith conversation in segment number 3. But tonight, 104.5 miles per hour off the bat, 405 feet. It would have been a home run in 28 of the 30 ballparks. Camden and Coors Field, the two ballparks, it would not have been a home run in. But overall, offense did just a fine job today. No one really had a breakout game. I guess you could say Pavin had the best game. No one had a multi-hit game tonight, but just everyone doing a little bit of something, contributing, either getting on base, moving runners over, just doing something positive. I think that was the biggest thing from tonight. It was just one of those games where everyone was able to contribute in a positive way. The starting pitching was perfect. The bullpen was perfect. And the lineup was also, again, able to contribute. Great job by the D-backs to take game number 1 from the Brewers, who they really need this series. Just got embarrassed by the Brewers at home in Chase Field last week. So now you want to go into Milwaukee and get some revenge. Zach Gallen on the mound Friday against Colin Rea, Merrill Kelly Saturday against Aaron Savali, and then Jordan Montgomery Sunday against Frankie Montes. We're almost done here in the regular season. D-backs need every single win from here on out. So let's make sure against this Brew Crew team who the D-backs just lost to last week, let's get our redemption and take it to the Brewers in their own home ballpark this upcoming weekend. Now I want to talk about if the D-backs rotation is heating up in segment number 2. But before we get into that conversation, if you need parts for your vehicle, I suggest eBay Motors because passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right. Let's get back to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. And just apologies, guys. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, feeling stuffy. I'm feeling a little bit like I have a head cold. So if I don't sound the same, if it sounds like my energy is low, it's just mostly because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather for you right now, but we're still going to deliver a great podcast for you guys today because now I want to discuss if this D-backs rotation is starting to turn a corner a little bit. Is it starting to heat up? Because now the sample size isn't large, but now we got a little streak going of D-back starters starting to put it together and starting to look very good in this D-backs rotation. And as that playoff rotation starts to clarify itself as we get closer to October, right? Ryan Nelson now on the injured list may or may not come back by the time the regular season ends. I think we know who the playoff rotation is going to be. Give me the top three from last year. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, and then give me Erod as my number 4 guy, and Monty as my long reliever out the pen. This D-backs rotation starting to put it together. When you look at what the guys have been doing recently, it's starting to resemble a real rotation, and why we have been so excited for this healthy D-backs rotation. Because we know it's talented on paper, but games are not played on paper. For most of the season, Zach Gallen has been up and down off the injured list, or he's just been up and down in his play. Same with Merrill Kelly, who has missed a lot of this season due to injury and then has been up and down when he's pitched. Brandon Pfaadt, he's been there the whole season. He's been healthy, but over the last 6 weeks, you would say he's hitting a little bit of a wall, and maybe it's because he's been so healthy and durable for most of this season with the D-backs. Monty started the season not with the team, and then he looks really unconditioned, and now he's out the rotation due to just poor play. And Erod has missed a lot of the season due to injury. It's been a big up and down year for this D-backs rotation, but entering the year, we felt like on paper, healthy, this was maybe the best rotation in Major League Baseball, right? Zach Gallen, a true stud. Merrill Kelly, all-star level pitcher, most underrated guy in the sport. Brandon Pfaadt, emerging starter who proved himself in the postseason. Erod, veteran, World Series champion. Same with Jordan Montgomery to round out your rotation. On paper, it felt like the best rotation entering the season, but due to injuries and so many different variables, we haven't been able to see it. Then the rotation did get healthy, and the performances were not good. For a while, it was like, is this rotation actually going to kill the D-backs? Because Gallen, Kelly, Pfaadt, Erod, Monty, everyone in the rotation was struggling. Everyone was pitching poorly, and it felt like the offense, if they didn't score 7 runs, 8 runs, it felt like the D-backs were going to lose for like a 2-week period there. But now you look at what's been going on over the past week plus, this D-backs rotation starting to put something together. As we saw tonight, Brandon Pfaadt, maybe the best start of his career. 7 innings, 2 hits, career high 12 strikeouts. Didn't give up the home run until the 7th inning. Like, this was one of the Brandon Pfaadt starts. Is this now something to monitor going forward? We know he's been hitting a little bit of a wall. I mean, in his most recent start to Milwaukee, he didn't even make it through 2 innings and he gave up 8 earned runs. But tonight, completely different pitcher as he dominated the Brew Crew. In the previous start, Erod, he looked fantastic. He was 6.1 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts. And even his start before that, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. So now you at least have a 2-game sample size where you could point to Erod and say, okay, now we got a little bit of momentum going with Erod's season. The first guy the D-backs really signed this offseason to a major deal, 4 years, $80 million, major expectations when the D-backs signed him. Then we found out he's going to miss so much of the season due to injury. He's finally back. He's finally healthy. He's finally starting to get a rhythm, and we can see why the D-backs signed him with how he's looked the last 2 starts. He's starting to rack up those Ks and he's starting to put those hitters away. The changeup is starting to be effective. I do like Erod a lot, and he is starting to look a lot better than what we saw to begin the season. Zach Gallen, he's starting to pitch better as well. You look at Zach Gallen's numbers you look at Zach Gallen numbers over his last 5 starts. Gallen, a 2.67 ERA over his last 5 starts, 27 innings pitched. He's been pitching a lot better recently, and this is someone that we know is the ace of the D-backs team. And you look at his last 5 starts, 9 Ks, 7 Ks, 8 Ks, 7 Ks, 7 Ks. He He's starting to strike out hitters at a pretty good rate. And also, when you look at those last 5 starts, he has pitched only 5 innings, or he hasn't pitched more than 5 innings in 3 of those 5 starts. And so, even though he's racking up all those strikeouts, he's not pitching very deep into the ball game. It's a lot of 5 inning performances where he's getting 7 or 8 Ks. So imagine if he was able to go a little bit deeper into the ball game and pitch into the 6th, 7th inning. Maybe he would have 10, 11 strikeout performances. And so for Zach Gallen, the fact that he's starting to pitch better, Erod, Brandon Pfaadt, and then finally the number 2 starter in this D-backs rotation, he's starting to look better as well. Merrill Kelly, his most recent start, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. We know this D-backs offense is fantastic. It is the best offense in the sport, quite literally. Number 1 in runs scored. We saw the graphics today, how this was the best offense for runners in score position this season, average, OPS, RBIs, all of it. The broadcast even said this is, since the All-Star break, this is the highest team in points per game in National League history post All-Star break. Like, what the D-backs are doing offensively since the All-Star break is historic. The only teams that have done better than the D-backs offensively in terms of runs per game since the All-Star break in Major League history are the New York Yankees. And it was like, those historic New York Yankee teams of yonder year. Like, there's no National League team that's doing better offensively in Major League history than what the D-backs are doing right now. So we know how good this offense is. We know how the versatility of this offense, the chaos, the power now, how many different ways it can kill you. We know all that. The thing that the D-backs really need is pitching. The pitching has been a huge question mark. The rotation is finally healthy. We have the 5 guys that we've been waiting for all season in the rotation. We just need them to pitch well, and I think we're finally starting to get signs that this D-backs rotation is starting to turn things around. Now, I got a couple of thought experiments I want to throw out to you guys in segment number 3. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right. Let's get back to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. And I got a couple of thought experiments I want to throw out to you guys. I didn't really know how to categorize this segment, but I just got a couple things I want to throw out to you. The first thing is actually an LA Dodgers Shohei Ohtani discussion, because I just want to say, I know Ohtani plays for the Dodgers, and I know we're D-backs fans. I know this is the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. We're supposed to hate the Dodgers, and I think that's okay. I want you guys to hate the Dodgers, but I want it to be the philosophy of what the Dodgers stand for. I want it to be the brand of the Dodgers, right? I don't want it to actually be the players. Maybe there are players that you sports hate because of what they do against your team, but I also want to admire greatness when we're in the presence of greatness. And what Ohtani has done in his young career and what he did this season with the 50-50, only member of the 50 home run, 50 stolen base club, had that insane 6-for-6, 3 home run performance in today's game. And we are witnessing something that we may never see again. We are witnessing the greatest baseball player of all time in terms of his dynamic ability to hit the power home runs like the Barry Bondses and the Aaron Judges. Like, you come up with Ohtani coming to the plate, and as a pitcher, As a fan of an opposing pitcher, you're fearful with Ohtani at the plate. You feel like the way he swings is violent. You feel like any ball he gets a hold of, it's going to be crushed over the right field wall and going to be a major splash for his team. And so he has that appeal of a power hitter where you're absolutely terrified whenever he's at the plate. But now he's added the 50 steals and showed you he's got the speed as well. For a big guy who's like 6'4", 230 to move the way he does. And I think a lot of it is just straight up just instinct and IQ, because I saw it when I went to a D-backs Dodgers game this year and I saw him steal 2 bases against Adrian Del Castillo with Jordan Montgomery on the mound. Like, he just looked Monty in the eyes and just took off on the first pitch and did not care. I think sometimes we have to take a step back as fans and say, you know what? This is greatness that we're witnessing. Let me actually respect, and it's okay to be in awe at times. I think too many times we get caught up in the fandoms of our teams. It's D-backs for Dodgers. I can't respect or like anything that they do, but you should. We may never ever see what Ohtani is doing right now ever again, and he's not even pitching yet. He's going to come back next season, maybe even this postseason, and start pitching again. And if he's anywhere close to the offensive production he has right now, and you mix in a starting pitcher, and we know if he ever had to miss a season of hitting and had to pitch full time, he could win the Cy Young. Like, that's how good Ohtani is. And maybe he should do that. Maybe there should be a season where Ohtani's like, I just want to pitch this season. I just want to go out there and get the Cy Young award, because he's talented enough where he can do that. And as a D-backs fan, I think we all just need to take a moment and just step back and just respect greatness. And I think that's across the board. When you see LeBron James on his last legs with the LA Lakers, and he's still phenomenal and he's still fantastic. If you're a Suns fan listening to this podcast, he rolls into Phoenix, go to a game and just take in the greatness of LeBron. This is 20 years of him dominating. You might not see an athlete like that again. I think whenever you see the best of the best, the greatest, it's easy to hate those figures and even the teams. When we saw the Golden State Warriors, and we've seen teams like the New York Yankees at times, right, dominate their sports. You've seen these dynastic teams. I think sometimes you have to take a step back and say, you know what? I am witnessing history right now. That is always how I couch it. I like witnessing greatness. I like it when the Warriors were winning championships year after year. I like seeing Mahomes go out there and dominate year after year, because I want to witness and be a part of greatness and history. And so I am grateful to see what Ohtani was able to do with the Dodgers, despite it being with the LA Dodgers. So that is thought experiment number 1. It's okay to hate the Dodgers, but at least respect Ohtani. And then my thought experiment number 2, I got this thought when I saw Pavin Smith hit that big home run tonight, but how long does it last for you to get over your biases when it comes to players? Because I think a guy like Pavin Smith, all D-backs fans entering the season was pretty unanimous. Like, this is a borderline roster guy. This guy offers no upside offensively, defensively. Like, he just a body taking up space on the roster. Like, I think a lot of D-backs fans felt that way this season. Like, they did not take Pavin Smith seriously, but you look at his numbers right now, what he's been able to do this season, and it's like, what level of sample size does Pavin Smith need to have before we're just like, okay, maybe Pavin Smith is starting to turn around his career, and maybe he is actually a decent ball player? Because I don't think I'm there yet with Pavin Smith, but I can't deny he's playing incredible baseball right now. And if you look at his slash line, 296, 378, 591. He has 8 home runs this season, and it's not like he's played a ton of games. Only 53 games played this season for Pavin Smith. Like, his career high in home runs is 11. So, and that was over 145 games. So at this rate, Pavin Smith would definitely crush 20 home runs or more, and definitely hit a career high in home runs if he played a full season. And it's like, at what point should I get over my biases of me not thinking Pavin Smith is good? Because every night he shows up, he plays, and he looks great out there for the D-backs. It's the same with Eugenio Suarez, right? I think we're all off Eugenio those first 80 games of the season when he sucked. And then he started heating up, and it's like, how long did he have to play great baseball before we flip the narrative on Suarez, right? I think we all feel great about Suarez now, but we were not always in that mindset with him. And so I want to throw out the question, how long does it take for you to get your biases when it comes to players? How long did it take for you to get over those biases? Because even for a guy like Geraldo Perdomo, I like Perdomo now. I think he's a major glue guy for this D-backs team. I can see him being a veteran for the next 8 to 10 years with this organization. If he wanted to be the shortstop, I would be fine with that. We, of course, got Jordan Lawler, but Perdomo's a legit major league player. Maybe he's not the best or will ever be the best shortstop, but he is a legit major leaguer. And I don't think I felt that way entering last season. I would have told you Perdomo's probably not a realistic long-term option entering 2023. Then he had that fantastic first half all-star season last year, and now it's flipped my narrative on Perdomo and how I feel about him. And so for you guys, I want to know, how long does it take for you to get over your biases when it comes to players? Drop a comment in the chat. Let me know. Just throwing out a little thought experiment for you guys as we enter the weekend. That's it for this edition of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Come back next week for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Doses.